Maine Coon breed, not a healthy breed? Are you serious? That's exactly what the vet said to one of our adoptive families of our adopted Maine Coon. Maine Coons are not a healthy breed. From their clinical experience, that was exactly what they had found. But the Maine Coon breed is actually a very healthy breed. They are a hardy breed. If you understand that in that first 11 months, they can be a challenge. And as I dug deeper into it, I was kind of curious as to where this vet was coming from. I mean, we're not anti-vet here at Giant Jim's Cattery. The Maine Coon breed has some challenges from birth until about 10 months old. We would agree with that completely and totally. Naturally, as a Maine Coon breeder, we deal in purebred animals. Our focus was to find the best of the breed, and that's the only animals that should be bred, is the best of the breed. There are 3 different levels of quality in any cat breed. You've got the breeder quality, the show quality, and the pet quality. Unfortunately, most breeders are putting out, at best, pet quality. And these animals that are at the pet quality, they may have some of the issues that come with the breed. So for instance, Maine Coons have some of the highest DNA mutations of any breed. 50 different DNA mutations. Now, you may be wondering, what in the world is a mutation? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. Not good, not good. And each mutation that Maine Coon has will shorten the life expectancy of that cat. So as a breeder, we don't feel like that ethically a breeder should breed an animal unless they're going to improve the breed, not diminish it. We feel here that if any mutation is found in the genetic makeup of that cat, then that cat should not be a breeder. Doesn't mean that it's a cat not worth being shown or even a pet. That pet may live a good, healthy life for 15 years. That doesn't mean that you would dispose of it or destroy it. It's just the animal should not be used for breeding purposes. So from legitimate top-end breeders, the first measure for us is how many mutations are acceptable for a breeding animal. We believe 0. All of our animals have been tested. All of the animals that we bring into our home are tested genetically. Whether they're considered as a pet to begin with or even a breeding animal, they're genetically tested. The other thing that's very important to us in the genetic makeup, the overall makeup of the cat, is the percentage of inbreeding. Have you ever wondered, when you go into a barn, why there are so many different feral cats in that barn? Well, there's no breeding control. They just breed to breed. They do what comes natural. And so naturally you get a lot of daddy, grandfather, great-grandfathers that are in the line and they're duplicating themselves, which increases the percentage of inbreeding. Well, in cats, the higher the percentage of inbreeding, it kind of messes with their head. The wilder they get, the meaner they get. It may be funny for a cat to come into your home and rearrange your furniture and tear your drapes down, but after about 3 days, it's not funny anymore. We're looking for an animal that can acclimate into our family unit and improve everybody's life in that family. A cat can naturally do that, but if the percentage of inbreeding is off on that animal, you'll find that it becomes a much larger challenge to have that animal in your home. So not everyone's is equipped to deal with an animal that has that high percentage of inbreeding. But for the most part, feral cats, it is a genetic aspect of too high of a percentage of inbreeding. We feel that it's important from a point of transparency, that the animals that we have chosen to breed, why we chose them to breed. Because an animal shouldn't be bred unless it improves the actual breed. Instead of contributing to its negative reputation of maybe being an unhealthy breed. The DNA mutations is the most important aspect when you're looking at a purebred Maine Coon. If they don't have perfect genetics, they will be an unhealthy animal. They won't live to the fullness of their life expectancy. That's just the way it is. If you have an animal that dies of a heart attack or stroke, it's healthy one day, it's only 12 months old, 11 months old, 13 months old, and you wake up from a healthy cat the night before, it's dead on the floor the next morning. HCM, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. It actually is a genetic mutation, a fluid that's on the heart when they're first born. A Maine Coon is 4.5 ounces when they're born, and they're 18 pounds when they get to a year old, all right? They're big cats. If you can imagine that as the cat grew, went from 4 ounces to 18 pounds, man, that's a pretty aggressive expansion of the body. Well, the heart will have grown too. So if you start out with a little fluid on the heart at 4.5 ounces, imagine how much fluid as that expands on an 18-pound heart. So what happens is that the fluid is like a boa constrictor. As the heart gets bigger, it gets more and more and more and more restrictive, and it forces the heart to stop. And the HCM is what you'll typically see in genetic mutations in the Maine Coon breed. If you have PK or PK def, which is a kidney and liver genetic mutation, those typically manifest the cancers at about the 5 to 7 to 8 year point. If they have PK or PK def, they'll definitely have HCM. So HCM is the worst one, and then they come down from that. SMA is spinal muscular atrophy. That's where the cat is almost acts drunk all the time. That eventually gets to a point where the animal gets sick and dies, just from the standpoint that it has injuries and other things that it's manifested. So this is serious stuff. The genetic mutations within the Maine Coon could certainly cause a vet to say, the breed's not healthy. They are an amazing breed. They're not aloof and independent like other cats are. They are so focused at the unit or the community, either the cat community or the people cat community, whatever you've got, people dog cat community in your home. They love dogs because dogs love them. There's a whole different disposition as far as cats and dogs when it comes to Maine Coons. The Maine Coons, even from when we bring them out of the nursery, they've been weaned at about 4 weeks. They come out into our living room and our dining room. They come nose to nose with a 75-pound German Shepherd. So you've got a 3-pound Maine Coon, doesn't hiss, doesn't run off, doesn't act scared. Instead, it looks at that dog and says, is this what I'm going to look like when I get older? Maine Coons are amazing. And if you've ever had one, you know what I'm talking about. They're great with kids, love the water, love to be leash walked, put a harness on them and off they go. It's a very serious decision to bring an animal into a home. And it's a very large investment of time. I mean, we talk to folks that are in their 60s, 70s. That cat literally is going to live longer in most cases than they would, and we have to discuss who will that cat go to, or who will adopt that cat after you're gone. Because these cats, well, all cats, look to us to provide for their needs. Health, emotional, everything. So it's not just a 10-minute proposition to where we put them out the back corner of the property because, yeah, it was great as a puppy, but now that it's a dog, yeah, put him down by the barn. We don't think that way here. So the only proposition we take up when we're talking to our adoptive families is that this animal will be an indoor cat. And we want them to live, as many decades as they choose to live. Not everybody is made for cat adoption or Maine Coon purebred adoption because of the expense. They are expensive cats. That's just the way it is. They're expensive cats because of that first 10 months of health. And an incredible amount of vet expenses go into making sure that not only our breeders are healthy, because you can't get a healthy kitten without starting with healthy cats to begin with that are breeding. Kind of common sense. So we look at the adoptive families, we look at a number of things. Not that I ask for a financial statement or anything of that nature, but through the interview process and stuff, we can determine if they're really going to be in a position to handle the expenses and the responsibilities that come with that animal if it goes south. Meaning that they may have a health issue that they have to hang in there for. You know, as a breeder, it's our job to be the caregiver, to make sure that they're at 110%, because if that cat happens to have an issue and they have to provide care to the animal, they become an extension of us. If the kitten ultimately has a case to where it goes longer than 7 days, they've made multiple trips to their vet, we will actually go and pick up the kitten, bring the animal back into our location, because of the fact that we know how to deal with Maine Coon kittens. If you're going to choose to do this, I don't want to discourage it, but you better have a pretty good sized treasury. You think high inflation's affected the egg price? Vets have just went out of sight. Food for cats has went out of sight. It is a very, very large investment. And once you bring animals into this world, you can't say, wait a minute, we don't have it. No, we're going to trim. No. If they need what they need, you give them what they need. We are stewards of these animals. You know, the good Lord has trusted us with producing incredibly, amazing animals. There's nothing higher than that responsibility. You shouldn't breed animals unless that is at the top of your list, that level of understanding and responsibility to those animals. As you approach your breeder, there are questions that they should know. Why did you breed that cat? What had to go into that cat for them to be a breeder quality cat for your program? Maine Coons, it's all about DNA. We have clinical reports that we provide during the adoption process. You get a written clinical blood workup of all the genetics of the sire and the dam for that kitten. And vets love that because it's got a lot of stuff about blood types and stuff I don't understand. But most vets, when they look at a kitten for the first time, they don't have a lot of clinical data about the sire and dam. The medical records that they have start at just the kitten. So the more information that you have prior to that kitten, mommy, daddy, it really helps that vet prepare and understand for the best health that they can, or healthcare that they can provide for that kitten. So the vaccinations in that first year are really important. That this is little Jewel, isn't it? She decided to come up and say aye. Okay, all right, enough. So the vaccinations in that first year are really important that we limit them to the 3-in-1, 8-week, 12-week, 16-week, rabies, 20 weeks, sterilization, 24 weeks. So you'll notice that each one of the vaccinations or any major medical requirement, we want to give that kitten 30 days to recoup from whatever they just went through, an injection or surgery. But those are the vaccinations. Nothing else required, nothing else needed. And so a lot of folks will ask us about sterilization when we recommend it. We actually recommend that 5 to 6 month window. The biggest issue has to do with the males spraying. We want certain male characteristics in the look of that male cat, the full jowls and the real kind of feral looking face, kind of the mean, kind of cougar, kind of lynx or bobcat look, kind of that feral look. The big paws, but we don't want the aspects of the male that come along with spraying or marking their territory, because Mr. Male becomes Pepe Le Pew when he's not sterilized and he starts spraying. It is very, very difficult to get them to stop. So anyway, the females occasionally will come into a light heat. If you have kind of of an early bloomer, so to speak. And so in the 5th month, she may do a light heat. She may do what's called spotting, which means that she'll be just dropping a little urine outside the box, but that is purely because of the heat cycle. It won't be a full court press heat cycle, real hard, where she's for a week screaming and yelling and moaning and everything else. She'll get real affectionate, and she'll want you to really rub her back and stuff. So, but she'll come out of that, and then typically they don't like to do the sterilization until a number of weeks after the heat cycle has ended because of the swelling to the uterus. We handle the 8-week first 3-in-1, where we also do the feline leukemia test. We also have them tested in every other way: their teeth, their hearts, their ears, their eyes, their, everything. And then by the 12th week, we've already handed them off to you at week 10 or 11. And so at the 12th week, you're doing the second 3-in-1, 16-week, final 3-in-1, and then the rabies at 20 weeks, 5 months. Sometimes your vet will let you go ahead and sterilize without a rabies, but there are some vets out there that would, what I've heard is to protect their staff. When the animal's coming out of anesthesia, they sometimes are a little bit out of control, and if they scratched or bit one of their vet techs and they had not yet been rabies tested, it might develop a risk for the vet tech. But I get it. I understand it. If that's the requirement that they have, they may require you to do the rabies at 20 weeks and then the sterilization at 24 weeks. That only becomes critical when you're dealing with a male, because he is a ticking time bomb. We have had very, very good success with our kittens not being sprayers, because they were all sterilized, as far as we know, within that 5 to 6 month window. Okay. Like I said, we're not the experts. We know more than most because it's a requirement to be a breeder, a Maine Coon breeder. But we're still learning too. It doesn't stop in any kind of medicine, either people medicine or veterinary medicine. It's an ongoing process. Now, panting for a dog is natural, not for a cat. If you ever see your cat panting, your cat's about ready to stroke out. That means it is stressed beyond belief. Remove it from the environment that it's in. Give it some attention. All right, give it a little bit of a treat, get its mind off of it, and let that heart rate come down, because in kittens specifically, there's another gnarly thing that ultimately affects all cats, not just Maine Coons. It affects kittens. It's a FIP. FIP is actually a deadly virus that a kitten can pick up. It's during that time when its immune system is low. It's still trying to adjust to a world that's it's being oversaturated, and the only thing that they can associate FIP with at this point, because even a vaccination hasn't been developed for it. There's experimental drugs, but it's for the most part fatal at about 2 weeks, and it's very painful. So you can actually cause your kitten to get FIP, because it's caused from over-vaccination. So that means instead of having 1 month spread between the 3-in-1s, you decide to inject that cat with everything at once. That's over-vaccinating. Their little system is overwhelmed, and quite frankly, it could even, and does in many cases, stunt the growth of a kitten that's over-vaccinated, because their system's spending all this time trying to ramp up. But anyway, the other issue is excessive stress. So over-vaccination and over-stress is the leading causes of FIP. So we want to avoid stress at every opportunity. That leads me to the personality and the socialization. What we do here as breeders, once we put these perfect animals together and they produce a perfect kitty, and we're making sure that they're healthy in every way. We also want to make sure that their personality is in check. They've got a great personality and also socialization. Most adoptive families that come to us expect to see a kitten that's running underneath the couch, that's running, that's hiding, that's hissing, that's maybe scratching and pushing away from them. One of the comments that we hear the most from our adoptive families is they can't believe how mature our kittens act. In many cases, they act 2 and 3 years old, like a mature cat, like a settled cat. And the reality is that we live in a home that's fairly chaotic. Powder, Vassy, and O'Leary don't always get along. And Powder's the Russian, Vassy's a Russian, and O'Leary is a Ukrainian. Now, I wonder where they got that idea. We've got our own little war sometimes that breaks out here, but it's not always a peaceful place in Maine Coon heaven, just simply because cats are cats, right? But your kitten has gotten used to that chaos and that kind of community structure through the first 10 to 12 weeks of its life. Even gotten used to a 75-pound German Shepherd that won't shut up. Vacuum cleaners that sound like 747s that are taking off. Grandkids that don't listen. Can I get an amen? When they get to your house, they're not going to have that same chaos. It's going to be much more relaxed than it is here. So it's like boot camp here. And we teach them, we make sure that the litter training, which Mama teaches, we don't teach that. We provide them elevations or progressive steps in the litter box training. That helps Mama a little bit. But Mama is fully capable of doing the job, and she does a great job, the Mama cats. But they get handled every day from the day that they're born until the day they leave. We want to make sure that the personality, the characteristics of the cat, if there's any wildness or apprehension about being held, or they graduate from the socialization side of things, knowing that when they come into your home, they're going to say, wow, look, this is my own playground. Now I'm going to play. And they do from day one. They know where the litter box is at. They know where the food's at. They know where they're sleeping at. So the socialization is really, really important. Personality comes 100% from the sire. Believe it or not, the daddy cat is the one that passes on the personality. Now, Mama will give certain maternal characteristics or instill certain maternal characteristics in her nursing and her upbringing, because Daddy's not involved in that at all. But genetically, the cat is predisposed to act pretty much exactly the way the daddy cat is. Really work to be a resource for our adoptive families naturally. Once they pick up that kitten, it doesn't stop with us. We're one phone call away if they have an issue. And we make sure that if we do have issues, we work very hard to get to the bottom and say, where did that issue come from? How do we eliminate it? Is there anything from our breeding process that maybe could have eliminated that? And I'm happy to say at this point, it ain't broke, so we're not going to fix it. We've got great animals that people are loving to death, that love kids, that have great personalities, that are the epitome of the breed. And we're really working hard to each one of those vets that come in contact with our kittens. They don't have the mentality that the Maine Coon is an unhealthy breed. The Maine Coon is one of the hardiest breeds that you can have. I mean, how many cat breeds do you know that live 20 years? Point in case, not many. But it really is a declaration to the hardiness of the breed, is for them to have that kind of life expectancy. Our animals are raised underfoot. They're in our living room and our dining room, and then we live in this house too. So they are our pets, and we provide a certain number of them, of which we control that number, in order to make sure that we can maintain the highest health. So it's all based upon quality, not quantity. And I hope you folks appreciate that. So when you reach out to talk to a breeder about any breed, quiz them. Have them educate you on the breed. They should not have any problem with that because we're really the ambassadors for that breed. We are the stewards of that breed. And it's either going to get better or get worse because our fingerprints are on it. So, and I challenge you also that the smarter that you get, educating yourself, the smarter you get about this process, you won't have the problem with the scammers that are going on right now because of cash apps and that type of thing. So they are just absolutely spilling out of apps like Facebook and websites that are mere sites of legitimate breeders. You know, be careful, folks. Educate yourself before you step out from there, and protect your investment and make sure that you're getting an animal that truly is not only what they advertise, but maybe what they haven't advertised genetically, health, socialization, personality. So we've been talking about that vet initially that said Maine Coons are not a healthy breed. In a way, he may be correct. There are issues, but if you know how to handle them, they're the healthiest breed. That's what I maintain. And so foundation of the animal is developed the way it should. And that is its health is promoted and encouraged through everything that modern science can provide it. It can reach certainly life expectancy at 20 years. So not clickbait here. It's the reality of the fact that there are people out there that believe, and even vets that believe, that the Maine Coon breed is not a healthy breed. That, as far as I'm concerned, my Maine Coon ain't an unhealthy animal. Is to choose to breed some magnificent animals that we believe represent the best of the feline race, so to speak. So if you've had questions that you've reached out to breeders to get the answers for, and you just have never gotten any answer back, throw out the comment, ask the question, and if I don't know it, I'll find somebody that does know it, and I'll get back with you. So again, we thank you and appreciate your watching. So that being it, I'm out of here.